Hi everyone, Paul, he, him, his pronouns, the university's Chief Culture and Compliance Officer, and I'm so excited to be here with a special guest for the next episode of our Every Person Has a Story series. So today I'm joined by Kate Abdel Fattah, an alumna of the university, who I'm going to ask to introduce themselves in a moment. So, Kate, thank you so much for participating in this series with us. Again, really excited to hear a little bit more about you and your story. So just to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about you? Again, your name, pronouns optional, and how are you actually connected to Vermont State University?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Kate Abdel Fattah, pronouns she, her. I graduated from Johnson in 2018, but also my two older brothers attended Johnson. My middle brother kind of had a different path. He started out at CCV, went to Johnson, and then actually ended up graduating from VTC. So we're really connected with the Vermont State University system.
Right.
My cousin attends Johnson right now.
Gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
Her dad is actually works for public safety at Vermont VTC, so I have deep ties to Vermont State University. I actually met my fiance there.
Okay.
Still have very close friends from Johnson, so it's a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, it sounds like, wow, that's a lot of different connections as well, both from like your kind of immediate family, but also extended family, and met your fiance there as well. That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what did you choose to study while you were a student at Vermont State University?
Yeah, so my path to where I landed, it took a while to figure out what I wanted to do. I went to Johnson thinking I wanted to be a middle school biology teacher.
Okay.
I took Liz Dulce's bio class my first year at Johnson. It was tough, it was hard, but I realized maybe not biology.
Okay.
And then I ended up thinking, okay, maybe elementary ed, like that, that seems like maybe a better fit for me. And, I always wanted to work with kids. For me, what's really important to me is making sure Vermont children and families have the tools that they need to thrive and succeed. So I thought the best way to do that is by becoming an educator, because I had so many amazing educators growing up. So I spent all the way up to really my senior year, on the path to be a teacher. So I did the praxis, I did student teaching, I did my portfolio and everything, but it was during, I think my second to last student teaching experience where I was like, it's not clicking. And I feel as, all my educator friends say, like, it has to click. There has to be something there, you know?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there, but the passion for helping kids was always there.
Okay.
And I took a class, I believe it was my junior year or senior year, called Teaching Towards Democracy. And that really shifted something for me. So Johnson, I think it's still available, had an interdisciplinary program where you kind of build your own.
Yeah.
So I had all the credits for educational studies, psychology, but I was really interested in political science. So I left Johnson with a degree in educational studies, psychology, and poli-sci.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, wow. Well, that actually maybe segues right into our kind of next question.
Yeah.
So you left obviously thinking, okay, maybe teaching's not, kind of clicking for me. So what are you doing now then?
Yeah, so I work in philanthropy. I'm a fundraiser. I am the Director of Donor Engagement and Individual Giving at King Street Center, which is a youth development and family empowerment organization here in Burlington, Vermont.
Okay.
I've been in fundraising now since my senior year of college.
Oh, okay.
I was very fortunate to land an internship at Let's Grow Kids in their development department. And during my time there, I had this moment of reflection of, wow, I wouldn't be here without philanthropy. I grew up in a single mom household. We had limited means, but the idea of going to higher ed was always very important to my mom and dad. So without philanthropic support from the Orange County community and from Vermont State University and from VSAC, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Okay.
So I kind of had that moment of realization during Let's Grow Kids, because I was like, well, what am I going to do next? Like, I'm really, a deep passion of mine is making education, whether it's early ed, childcare, to higher ed, really accessible and, affordable for Vermont families.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I ended up, I landed at UVM, even though I didn't go to UVM. As I said, I'm really passionate about making higher ed accessible for Vermonters. So I was able to do that. I learned a lot, but I realized I wanted to be more community-centric.
Okay.
And I, had this great opportunity to, bring my skill set to an amazing organization that serves youth from 18 months to 18 years old.
Okay. All right.
So I get to have the childcare experience,
Right.
the after-school experience, and then the middle school and high school experience as well.
I mean, in some ways, right, even though you're not a classroom kind
Yeah.
of teacher, right, you're obviously interacting with youth
Yeah.
a lot, right?
Yeah. And for me as a fundraiser, I think there's some fundraisers that can fundraise for anything, which is amazing. But for me, I have to be connected to the
Sure.
mission.
Yeah.
I think that is what makes me a good fundraiser. And at King Street, I am able to use my lived experience to help donors feel their impact of their giving.
Yeah.
I would love to have a King Street Center growing up in Orange County. My brothers and I, we didn't really have after-school care. It was the local library, or because my mom had to work, or just staying late at high school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but also, my brothers and I were probably the only Arabs, it felt like, at the time in rural Vermont, in Randolph. So being at a place that supports all identities is huge.
Yeah.
And then being a first-generation college student, being able to use that lived experience through VSAC and be able to talk about our high school program that we have here is really huge.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. Like.
So so I feel that that's really important to me, just to be able to use my story when I feel, safe and empowered to.
Right. Right.
To, share it with people, because I think people don't have to give money. And
Yes, that's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing when someone gives $50. That changes somebody's life. Like you have other things going on.
Yeah.
You have bills. Life happens. But the fact that you're choosing to support an organization is really great.
Right.
And I just feel like really honored to be a part of that little puzzle here.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. I'm ready. To take out my pocketbook here.
Yeah.
I can imagine how grateful the King Street Center must be to have somebody like you who, as you said, can bring their lived experience into kind of the work and help people understand, as you said, the impact that those precious dollars that they might contribute make in the life of a student, a family, right? And also, just quickly, my wife is a preschool teacher, so we appreciate your advocacy of kind of early childhood education through an organization like Let's Grow Kids as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can't have it. We can't have a workforce without early educators.
Right. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Vital.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Curious, kind of, what do you do then outside of kind of your professional role in the King Street Center?
Yeah.
Like, are there hobbies that you have or activities that you like to do? Just curious, who Kate is besides some of those professional kind of pieces.
So I actually live in Barrie, Vermont.
Oh, okay.
So I participate. I'm actually a trustee in my local library. I think it's really important for folks to be involved in their community. Not saying you have to be a board member, but even volunteering at an event. It's just really important to know what's going on, and that your perspective and ideas and questions are valid, and you should, bring them up when you can. So I do that. I love reading.
I was about to ask if you like reading. Yeah.
I read a lot of rom-coms and thriller, mystery. I'm planning a wedding.
Probably taking up some of your time.
That's taking up some time.
Yep.
All good things. I like to be outdoors, so I hike with my fiance. I used to do cross country at Johnson, so I still run.
Okay.
Play lacrosse when I can, spin, and just see my family. So my brothers and my mom still live in Vermont, so they live in Randolph and Braintree still, so I get to go see them often. And my niece, and hang out with friends.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Okay, lots of kind of cool stuff. So you did mention like rom-coms and some other genres, but is there a favorite genre that you have, or is it hard to just choose one?
That's a really good question. It depends on the mood.
Okay.
It depends on the mood, the vibe. Like right now we're getting into spooky season.
Yes.
So like I'm reading a lot of like true crime.
Okay. Yeah.
But it depends. It really depends on what I'm feeling.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love reading as well, and great that you're serving as a trustee, and I really appreciate your kind of encouragement, right, for people to just be active in some way. As you said, whether it's as a board member or whether it's just somebody who's attending a community event. I think that's also really important too. So thanks for doing all of that.
Sure.
In the midst of a really obviously busy, kind of time in your life as you're planning all of these.
All the things.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, and this is really going to kind of just start to wrap up this kind of episode. But if there was one story that you could think of that would help kind of people in the community kind of better know who you are, kind of what story would you choose, and kind of what does it mean, right, to you to be able to share that story with others?
Yeah, I think I talked about it a little earlier, but just my journey of how I landed on my major and what I ended up doing now. As a very type A person, I thought, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an educator, and being able to, take different classes at Johnson to really explore what's out there. That felt huge in my career, and being able to be very fortunate to graduate Johnson, have a job lined up, and be able to go right into the workforce. That was really important to me, and huge. I know a lot of peers my age were not able to do that, and I feel very, very lucky about that. And being connected to philanthropy on a personal level and now doing it in a professional way, it's my way of paying it back, by me helping students at King Street Center or at UVM and even at Let's Grow Kids, get what they need to succeed is really important to me. And just like through my lived experience, having that. I think one thing that I so appreciated about my time at Johnson was being able to build my resume within. I think there's a lot of, at the time when I was applying for colleges, there were a lot of stigma around applying for a state college, but I realized what a privilege it is to get a 4-year degree. And Johnson really, I wouldn't be here today without Johnson. So when I was an undergrad, I took full advantage of all the programs that they offered, not only for my degree, but I did cross country for 4 years. I did lacrosse for 3 years. I volunteered in their SERVE office, which is their community outreach office. I was, but the biggest thing that really helped me in my career, I think, is being the vice president and senator for the Student Government Association. So that really opened my world up to contacts and being a voice for the student body and learning a lot, and how to be professional and when to ask questions and when to show up. And it really drilled my passion for access to higher ed, because we spent a lot of time calling our representatives, asking for money in the bill. And it just taught me a lot. That's how I landed my internship at Let's Grow Kids. I was on a student panel for the unification of Northern Vermont, for Linden and Johnson to create Northern Vermont University. I was the sole student representative for that community committee from Johnson's side. I just can't say enough about my experience at Johnson. I truly would not be here today without it.
Well, I mean, this is great. Like talking
Yeah.
about both your academic experience and then all of these other kind of experiences that you've had, athletics, co-curriculars, but then as you said, like connections to community members and opportunities. It sounds like you really did a fantastic job of taking advantage of all of kind of what the university and that experience had to offer.
Yeah, that would be my one advice to any Vermont State University student right now. If you want to create a club, create a club. If you want an internship but you don't have a way of getting there, go talk to a professor. Like, they want to support you. It's truly I think that's where my love for community centric comes from. The more I think about it, is Johnson and Vermont State University.
Yeah.
You know, we care for each other so deeply, and yeah, that's what that would be my advice.
And I'd like to think that that's one of the things that does make us unique, is that
Yeah.
it's really hard for kind of a student to just kind of be lost. Like,
Yep.
you know, we're not a institution that has 40,000 students. And so each student is, I think, really able to have a very individualized experience.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, you know, the encouragement as well to, you know, have students kind of go out and you know, advocate for themselves,
Yes.
but try to network and get what they want, right, out
Yeah.
of that experience too.
Take initiative. That is what I taught. I mean, what I learned the most at Johnson is, like, you know, especially through my time at Student Government Association. If you want something done, like, you have to be your own advocate, and that can be really hard. But if you have a good group of people around you, like, you can get it done.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how I actually landed my job at Let's Grow Kids. You know, I was an intern and then a summer intern, and then I, you know, said, like, I would love for this to be. Is there a possibility for this to be full time?
Right.
And you know, I was 20 years old, and it worked out. So Johnson really, like, gave me the tools and the skill set to, you know, be able to ask,
Nice.
and it worked out. So truly cannot be here today without Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense. I
Okay.
mean, I think, you know, one of the things about being an educator is
Yeah.
that there's so many ways to be an educator that I think are beyond just what one might think of when they, like, kind of close their eyes and think about an educator. And to
Yeah.
me, it sounds like that is actually in many ways what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's just as important in that sense for you to kind of be doing what you're doing, because it enables, right, yes, that classroom teacher, but it enables, right, lots of other people to support who these
Yeah.
students are. And again, I think, you know, having just a little bit of experience with the King Street Center, knowing how much it also supports their kind of families
Yep.
and their communities as well. And so I imagine that your impact, right, is frankly quite large.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm sure the King Street Center is so grateful to have you,
Yeah.
support them in this way.
I think just, you know, I think it's so important to, you know, be able to be a part of an organization like this. And to me, philanthropy is the bridge for a lot of folks. So there's power there, and
Yeah, and I think that alignment that you just said is so important. Like the alignment between, like, what you might consider to be your kind of purpose in life,
yeah,
and then, like, what you have the opportunity to do, you know, each and every day. And so it's really great that,
Yeah.
you know, you're doing that.
yeah,
So thank you so much, Kate. I know this is a short conversation, but I really appreciate getting to know you a little bit better, getting to learn more about your connection to the university, all that you're doing, you know, both kind of here at the King Street Center, but also in just Vermont in general.
yeah,
I hope your wedding planning continues to go smoothly.
yeah,
You know, and that you're able to just, read more books and
Yeah.
do all of the other things that you enjoy doing outside of your professional kind of obligations
Yeah.
as well. So
Great.
thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
If you have any interest in participating in other episodes of this series, please let us know. But until our next one, we'll see you all later. Thank you.